If everything feels important but nothing feels clear, if you're busy all day but for some reason the work that actually matters keeps getting pushed until tomorrow, then this is for you. You're not lazy, you're overloaded. There's a specific kind of frustration I want to talk about. I know you work, hopefully a lot. Your calendar isn't empty. Your brain definitely isn't empty. But somehow the important things, the things that actually move the needle forward, keep slipping to the bottom of your list. And you end the day tired but never satisfied. And if you're honest, there's sometimes a quiet thought that shows up for you. Why am I not doing more with what I know? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why that happens, especially if you're ambitious, and how to fix it without adding more hours to your work, more tools, more extra things. Because the issue isn't effort, it's energy architecture. Let's rewind for a second. Remember when things used to feel simpler? When you could see everything at once, when decisions were fewer, when your to-do list fit in your head. But as responsibilities grow, complexities grow as well. More moving parts, more information, and more decisions that actually matter. And here's the part that nobody really prepares you for. Your business doesn't actually scale just because your responsibilities do. There's something called cognitive load. Basically means your brain has a limit to how much information and data you can process at any one time. When that limit gets exceeded, your performance tends to drop. Not because you're incapable, but because you're saturated. At the beginning of anything, you can see the whole board. You understand where exactly to move next. But as things expand, your mental load increases. You don't notice it probably all at once, but over time you become more tired, slightly more scattered, and slightly less sharp. You start questioning yourself. Why am I procrastinating? Why does this feel heavier than it should? But what's actually happening is you're overloaded. And now add decision fatigue to the mix as well. Research shows that as people add more and more decisions throughout your day, the quality of those decisions decreases. Judges tend to make worse rulings later in the day. Doctors make worse decisions if you see them later in the day. Every decision costs energy, and that includes every message, every quick approval, every "can you check just this one thing?" Even if it feels small, it adds up. But stack enough of them together and your energy just drains. So by the time you actually sit down to work on something strategically, you probably have low energy, you're probably overloaded, and the quality of your decisions is going to be very low. Not because you don't care, not because you're not motivated, but because you feel depleted. There's also a performance curve called Yerkes-Dodson law. It shows that performance increases with a little bit of stress, but only to a point. If you expose yourself to too much stress or overload, your performance decreases. So a little pressure sharpens you, too much pressure overloads you. So if everything feels urgent, your nervous system feels constantly activated throughout the day. And when that happens, your thinking becomes reactive instead of strategic. You start responding, reacting instead of proactively making decisions. You start solving problems as they come up instead of building. And ambitious people are especially vulnerable to this. Why? Because they care. They want to grow. They want progress. You want to move things forward. But when everything feels important, then nothing does. And that's where the real problem begins. When your days are filled with reacting, you lose control and direction. You're solving problems, you're answering things, you're staying busy, but the high leverage work that you should be doing just doesn't get done. The thinking, designing, crafting, building just gets pushed back. Someone once said it perfectly. In the beginning, everything was in one place. You could see it perfectly clearly. As things grew, the information multiplied, and it became harder to zoom in what actually mattered. That's not a discipline issue, that's a focus issue. When your ambition is wide but your focus isn't compressed, then starting something feels really heavy. This heaviness gets mislabeled as laziness sometimes, but it's really decision overload fragmented with energy loss. Let's break down energy simply. There are 3 types you need to manage. First one we'll call decision energy. Every unresolved issue sits in the background of your mind, even small ones. Your brain keeps track of all these open loops. The more open loops you build up, the more energy is required just to hold them in your brain. Second one is focus energy. Switching tasks isn't free. Studies show that after switching, it can take up to 9 minutes to regain that same focus you had before switching. Switching tasks isn't free. Studies show that when you switch, it can take several minutes to regain that same focus back. So imagine multiplying that with dozens of interruptions throughout the day. You're not incapable of deep work, you're just not staying in that lane long enough to make meaningful progress. You're not incapable of deep work, you're just not staying in that lane long enough to reach real depth. And depth is where real progress happens. Responsibility carries weight. Deadlines, targets, expectations. Even if you don't talk about it, your body carries it. When emotional load rises, your cognitive ability drops. So combine high decision volume, constant context switching, and emotional pressure. And of course you're going to feel inconsistent. Of course some days feel sharp and some days feel foggy. That's not laziness, that's just unmanaged energy. So what's the shift here? Compression. Ambition can be wide, but execution needs to be narrow. Instead of trying to move everything forward at once, identify the one most important thing and put all your energy and focus into that. Not what feels loud and glamorous, but what actually moves the needle forward. Try protecting one block each day for that specific category before reacting, before checking everything. Even 60 minutes of uninterrupted focus, flow state can outperform 5 hours of scattered focus. Next thing to do, reduce your open loops on a weekly basis. That means writing everything down. Then decide if you're going to delete it, delegate it, or do it now. Make it a practice to be aware of those open loops and do something about it, because undecided tasks are silent energy leaks. And finally, build recovery into your system. Short walks, moments without inputs, intentional pauses. When your nervous system stabilizes, your clarity and focus improves. This isn't about being soft, it's about regulating your nervous system to work for you, not against you. So here's the key moment. You're not underperforming because of lack of ambition. You're underperforming because your cognitive environment is chaotic. Your responsibilities have expanded over time, but your structure hasn't. So your energy started leaking through complexity. You tried to compensate with pressure, and pressure without clarity creates friction. And friction feels like laziness. When you compress your priorities and protect your energy, something shifts. You stop reacting all day, you start directing instead. And that quiet frustration, that feeling of I should be doing something else, begins to fade. Not because you worked longer, but because you worked cleaner. So remember this. Complexity creates cognitive load. Cognitive load reduces clarity, and reduced clarity feels like procrastination or laziness. You don't need more motivation, you don't need to work harder, you just need fewer decisions, more focus. Stop trying to push harder, start narrowing your focus. And protect one strategic block. Reduce open loops, stabilize your nervous system. Remember, ambition isn't your problem, fragmentation is. And once you fix your fragmentation problem, productivity stops feeling forced. It starts feeling controlled. If this video resonates with you, then watch out for my next one, because in that one I'll show you exactly how you can structure your day so this becomes automatic. Thank you.